For this assignment, I took my mom down a little trip down memory lane there and talked to her about the role that media had in her life when she was growing up. And the main difference between her growing up and me growing up is absolutely enormous, between Facebook and the internet and just the way that media was spread and the quickness in which it was spread with, compared to her waiting for the newspaper every morning to get the news, or 6 o'clock to hear the news for the night, or her dad reading the newspaper every morning. And it's just a completely different world that we live in, especially media-wise. And she listened to music on the AM radio, instead of listening on Pandora. She wrote letters and made phone calls and didn't just text somebody or anything like that. And one of the main things that really stood out when I talked to her was how influential like Watergate was to her and her generation. How that it showed that the power of media, how two individuals could take down the White House essentially. So that being something that was really, really influential to her generation, and just kind of the war in Vietnam being on TV, and it just exposed some of the corruption in government and politics, and it kind of set the example that media can make a big deal and really, really change the landscape of what's going on out there. And in terms of commercials, the first commercial that popped into her head was the Slinky commercial. She even sang the jingle for me, which unfortunately I'm not going to do for you guys. And but she also said she remembers the Double Mint gum commercial, and she's an identical twin. So her and her sister Amy, they like that commercial because obviously it was double your pleasure, double your fun, but twins and whatnot. So in terms of the public service announcements, the two things that came to mind for her were Smokey the Bear. That was kind of a big deal. Made people realize that the environment does matter. Whereas now, there's so many things out there for save the planet and this and that. And the other thing was just the Surgeon General warnings that came out about smoking, and how that kind of completely changed the way that people viewed cigarettes. Up until that point, cigarettes were just kind of second nature and they were part of society. So that was another thing that she really remembered. That was a big deal. And I think when you compare it with now and then, what we've learned in class, it just really highlights the importance of media and how influential it is now. Now there's 24/7 everything, and you don't hear about news in the newspaper. Nobody buys a newspaper anymore because they get their news online. They get it through Twitter. They get it on Facebook. So it really, really showed, but just by talking to her, was kind of actually pretty. It was actually a fun assignment because I got to, it really kind of, like I said, highlights exactly what we're talking about in this class, and how influential media is and how much it's changed, and just the alarming rate it's changed is almost mind-boggling. But that is it.